Hello, my name's Matthew Farthing. I'm the principal at Nord Anglia International School, Dubai, commonly known as NAS, which is rather nice because although I'm not an Arabic speaker, I think that NAS means people. And one of the aspects of our school is we're actually very much a community school, and despite our size, people often refer to the small family feel. And I think that's an interesting one, because when I'm asked about the features of our school, one of the realities is that we are part of a group that has schools worldwide, and within our group of schools we also talk about family. And I think that's a really interesting feature of belonging that we have at NAS Dubai. And just as the reception child, let's say, comes into the school and starts to realise that they're part of a larger community, and they start to develop friends and go back to other houses they've not been before and realise that there is more to their notion of family or community than their immediate family. Similarly, as students grow up through the years, they understand their connectedness with other schools in the Nord Anglia network, and we have something called Global Campus, where there's a lot of collaborative activity and competitions and student experiences and links take place. And I think that's very relevant, particularly in the reality of the digital age we're living through. Students are brought up to understand they can make friends in other Nord Anglia schools elsewhere, but there's a kind of almost a tribal belonging that they have. Another interesting thing about being a part of a school's group is that we do, of course, have the leverage to develop interesting partnerships, and we have partners like Juilliard School of Performing Arts, for example, who are interested to link up with us to look at how schools foster creativity across the age range of the school. We wouldn't pretend to say that by coming to our school everybody's going to go to end up in New York in Juilliard as a top-end performer, no. But we're listening to what they are inspiring us to think in terms of curriculum modification to be more creative. Similarly, we have a partnership with MIT, and that brings forward the STEAM agenda and looking at cross-subject integration and design thinking. And there are many collaborations between our schools, which in fact, as I'm speaking now, just the other weekend we had a STEAM experience which brought together all of our schools in the Middle East, which is testament to an example of that. And then at the highest level, we also have it's not a partnership, it's more of an arrangement of understanding with UNICEF, and we work closely with them as we try to enable students over the years in school to understand the significance of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And we do our best to write in that understanding of how linkage with those universal goals really for the world are enacted within the subject base and curriculum base of the school. So there are a lot of good things to do with being part of a group, and I would espouse those. I've also found it interesting, as now quite a long-standing principal and member of Nord Anglia Education. One of the things that I particularly like about our group, and this continues, is that when we go away on conference, though that's been a bit difficult with COVID, and we know each other as principals, and there is never any sense of who stands next to who in relation to the size and scope and academic strength and the results of the school, which you do sometimes get when you go to other conferences, and you see that people are jostling almost as to see which school do they belong to and which has higher status, and that's something which I feel really proud of in Nord Anglia, that there is this sense of belonging and shared identity, which offsets against that human potential. There's also a concern that comes forward sometimes from parents when I talk about our belonging and the family of Nord Anglia Education schools around the world. And then people ask, well, what does that mean, that your curriculum is the same as every school in the group? And no, not at all. The curriculum is adapted and modified by the leadership of the school. Well, does it mean that you're told if you're not what to teach? Are you then controlled in terms of other decisions that you make? And really, no, the reality is that there are extraordinarily high levels of autonomy given to the principal of each school. Of course, I mean, there are systems of approvals, and of course there are referrals, and of course, you know, I have my bosses as well that I have to answer to. But I think it's one of the things that should be well understood, that there is a high level of autonomy and independence, that although we share a lot of common ground, like our commitment to the Sustainable Development Goals, or the Juilliard curriculum, or the links with MIT, etc., we also must interpret what we're doing in relation to our own markets, our own parent groups, and build on the resource that's local, and in our case, the fascinating resource of Dubai. I mean, an example of this is the way our primary school leadership team are transforming some of the primary curriculum as they carry out their regular annual curriculum revisions, and they're drawing on the resource of Expo, and they're using each of the pavilions to stimulate really very exciting and relevant experiences for children throughout the primary school. I'm not sure that the same thing is happening, you know, in Hong Kong or in Tashkent or in New York, but different things will be happening where they're exploiting the reality of that local environment. And here we're very lucky to have Expo happen. Another very interesting benefit of being part of the Nord Anglia group is to do with staff retention and teacher commitment to the group. The group has invested really considerably in staff professional development. We have, and it's a rather pompous name, but it's Nord Anglia University, which is our online platform for teacher exchange, and it's the platform where a lot of staff development courses are delivered. We have a very effective middle and senior leadership training program, and an aspiring principals training as well. And having taught on these courses and had to do my homework as I'm working through it with different senior colleagues, it's pretty rigorous, I have to say. We also have at the research end, we have a partnership with King's College in London, and there's a bespoke master's program that staff from our schools can win places to attend, and that of course is then funded by the group. So I think from a teacher point of view, belonging to Nord Anglia is an attractive proposition, and there's a loyalty that comes when they realise the benefits of their own professional development going there. And then when, you know, the time comes and people want to move and they might want to change, or they're looking for a promoted position, there is an understanding that we must always not prioritise in the sense of we must appoint somebody who's coming to us from another Nord Anglia school, but we must always give first place consideration to that application, and then it's an open and an equal application. But anybody who applies to another Nord Anglia school anywhere in the world from a Nord Anglia school position must be considered, interviewed, or given feedback if they're not being interviewed. So that's an interesting one for managing a kind of a sense of belonging and loyalty at the level of staffing. Let me wish any viewers well in their search for the right school. It's a complex process. There's no absolute rights and wrongs. You'll find the school that you feel is right for you and that you feel is right for your children. And listen to the little voices inside yourself, because no matter how rational we may try to be, sometimes it's an intuitive response. And one of the great things about Dubai is you have so much choice available to you. So it's in your hands to enjoy that process and make the right choice.